It's that time of year again for another big old PSA submission. Stick around. What's going on, guys? Joe R, Vintage Pokemon, back again with another PSA submission. And we're going to be dipping our toes into them jumbo waters today because I'm going to be submitting this bad boy. This is the first thing on the list, and it is an OG Jumbo Charizard, I think from the year 2000, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. And this is basically the start. This is one of the earlier Jumbo promos that you could possibly have, and that makes this one pretty darn valuable because it is a tough card to grade. I mean, Jumbos in general can be really hard because there's so much more easily damaged, but this one's really clean. And, I'm really hoping that this could get something like a PSA 8 or 9. I think if it gets an 8, I'll be happy. Anything less than that, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. So if you take a look here, we've got a really clean back. The corners on this thing are like immaculate. And there's only one little speck of edge whitening somewhere around here on the left-hand side. Right there. You can actually see it right here. But that's it. The rest of this card is really clean. The surface is really clean. And I'm hoping that PSA is going to show a little mercy on me and give me a solid grade for this beautiful card. You can see that it's a little off center left to right. But, I mean, the PSA 9 pop on this thing is like 7 or 8. It's really, really low. And a PSA 10, I don't even know if a PSA 10 this card exists or not. If it does, it's very, very low population. But if I get an 8 on this, I'd be happy too. I mean, back in the day, I remember when I picked this up, not many people were grading them because they just cost too much money and they weren't worth a ton either. But now they're starting to get up there. I mean, it's just hard to get these in good condition, which is why we're going to be sending this bad boy in. This is going to be the Charizard that we're sending this submission. That is definitely one to watch out for. Really hoping that it comes back strong. On top of this, we've also got a couple other buddies of mine that are submitting with us this time around. We'll get to their cards in a moment. Let's start with the ones that we're going to be sending in. We got a nice fat stack here. We're going to be sending in a bunch of these no symbol jungle promos because I'm hoping that these can score either 8s or 9s if we're lucky. I'm hoping there aren't too many 7s here because they're not really worth a ton graded as a 7. I mean, it's worth a little something, but I'm really looking forward to getting some 8s and 9s because I want to actually have the full set. And I know Venomoth is not exactly like the best card in the set. You can see that it's a error card because it is missing the jungle symbol there. This one also looks a little bit on the faded side, if you ask me. It doesn't look as green, I think, as it otherwise would. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I stared at a Venomoth from Jungle. We've got the Pinsir, Jungle no symbol error card. Okay, very nice. We've got Kangaskhan, lots of hollow on Kangaskhan, so he can be a little tough to grade sometimes. These cards are really clean, but one common issue with the Jungle set is that there's very commonly some silvering along the edges of the card, and I did notice a little bit of that with some of these as well. We've graded a Kangaskhan once before, and we got an 8 back, so hopefully we can upgrade. If not, then we'll take it. 8's still a really solid score for these old vintage cards, especially Jungle no symbol hollows. We got the Nidoqueen. We have the Victory Bell. Beautiful cards again. No edge wear on these things, so any docks to the grade are really coming from either the centering or a little bit of that silvering, which is common to the Jungle set, or the, like I said, the centering. We've got the Vileplume here. This is a really clean card. I remember looking at this one and saying that the surface on it was really nice. At least that's what I remember, so we'll see if that can grade high for us. We've got a Scyther Jungle no symbol error card. We have the Pidgeot Jungle no symbol error card. And with that, I'm going to have this set in its totality, graded anyway. I already have a full set of this in my binder, light played condition, but I was looking forward to getting these all in a grade of 8 or higher. So far, I've got the Flareon as a 7, but I do have Jolteon in a 9. I've got Vaporeon in an 8. So I've got some of the big hitters. I think I have a Snorlax in an 8 as well. Kangaskhan is an 8 as well so far. So I'm hopefully going to get some of these back in a PSA 9, maybe PSA 8s. 7's not really what I'm looking for, but we'll take anything that we can get. And I've got a couple of Team Rocket cards here as well. We have the Dark Raichu, beautiful swirl up top there. We got a Swirly Boy. And the back of these cards, really, really clean. I'm trying to be very harsh. I'm usually very harsh, But with our last submission, you could check it out actually up above if you'd like. But with our last submission, we graded some cards, and a bunch of them came back as 8s, couple 7s, not a lot of 9s, no PSA 10s, I don't think. We still had some really great cards in that submission, like Grand Party, PSA 9, and things like that, but really didn't get a whole lot of high grades. And a lot of that came down to the surface scratches that were on some of the cards. And I'm hoping to kind of avoid that this time. Probably still going to get a lot of 8s with those jungle no symbol cards. But, you know, what are you supposed to do? They're so old, and they're just known for that silvering, too. It's not even like they were stored improperly. We've got a Dark Gyarados holo from the Team Rocket set. Really cool card. I think this is a personal favorite of mine. I love anything Gyarados. Gyarados is just a sick Pokemon in general. We've got a Blastoise, and I usually am big on sending in the first edition cards, but this one was sitting back in my pile, and I really dig that swirl there, and I thought this card needed to be submitted. It's really, really clean, too, so I'm hoping that this is going to grade high. You can see there's a little speck of whitening right there in the top right-hand corner, but otherwise a really clean card. But man, that swirl is super sick. Really great placement on it. We're sending it a first edition Dark Slowbro. This is one of the few Team Rocket cards that I managed to grade in a PSA 10. And I'm really stoked that I did get this one in a 10 previously because I love this card. It's got such a killer background with Team Rocket just kind of sitting in the back right behind the shoulder of the Dark Slowbro. And I just think it's so nostalgic of this time period. Really awesome set, the Team Rocket set. I remember back in the day, I didn't like it too much because I kept pulling so many duplicate non-holo cards, and I was getting really frustrated. But it really has grown on me over the years. I love the Team Rocket set for just being so different from the previous sets like Jungle, Fossil, and Base Set. Aerodactyl, this is the pre-release card. You know it's the pre-release because it's got that right there. And it's a really clean card too. All pre-release Aerodactyls are first edition, so that's not really going to make or break anything in terms of value. That's just how all of them are. But Aerodactyl from the Fossil set, the pre-release card, another one of those Pokemon that really is one of my favorites. And then we have a little bit of Modern. I actually am sticking a little bit of Modern in here because we've got the Charizard from the TCG Classic. That's right, this is the reprint of the original base set Charizard, heading out to get graded from the TCG Classic set. And you can see, really love that holo pattern on this thing. I know a lot of people wish that the English set actually had those holographic borders. I know a lot of people also were of the mind that they thought, you know, it's going to get a reprint. It's not going to be worth much. I really don't think that's the case. I think these cards are going to be worth a little something because not a lot of people bought the TCG Classic. And once they're gone, they're gone. They're not like going to be mass produced or reproduced. I think that's going to be it. So once they're gone, that's it. And I think these are going to actually hold their value quite well. Rare or mint or better, right? It's not old, but it is going to be rare, and it is going to be, minty fresh, let's say. On the backside, there was, I think on the Charizard, there was like the tiniest little white dot. It was like an ink thing. So it's not like it was damaged or anything. Otherwise, really clean card. We're going to keep our fingers crossed that this comes back as a PSA 10. I'm actually submitting it with all of our old vintage cards because I'm hoping that this is going to just look so good in comparison. It'll help to kind of bring its score up. But, we'll see. It's just me playing God, I guess, with the PSA graders. You flip a coin and get the right grader, and you never know. You can get whatever grade you'd like, but we've got the Blastoise here from TCG Classic. Beautiful card again. That holo pattern is just to die for. And we've got the Venusaur as well for our modern cards that will be submitted in this particular submission. Just the Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard. It's all we're submitting this time around. Just the big three, so to speak. And the Blastoise and the Venusaur were really, really clean. So we're hoping that those are going to come back super, super minty fresh from PSA. We've got a Koga first edition. Those trainer cards, worth a little something, not as much as the Pokemon cards. You look at cards like Giovanni's Gyarados in comparison to the trainers, and usually they hold a premium over the trainer cards. But still, in a PSA 9, this fetches around about $90 to $100 right now. So this is a card that's worthwhile grading if it could come back grading high, and I think this one will. It should grade either a 9 or a 10. I'm hoping. You know, I don't want to put words in my mouth or put my foot in my butt or anything like that, but you know, you gotta keep your fingers crossed with some of these cards. Koga's Ditto, we previously graded one of these as a Gem Mint 10, so this is one additional copy that I had sitting back in my collection. Not a hard copy to grade because you can see there's just not a lot of hollow pattern to it, but we're going to send it in. A 10 would be a 10, and a 9 would still be good also, so we're hoping that we can score pretty well on Koga's Ditto. And last but certainly not least, we have a Giovanni. And this is probably one of the more sought-after holographic cards from the Gym Challenge set, Gym Hero set. And who doesn't like Giovanni, the 8th gym leader? He's pretty badass, right? And I previously graded 2 of these as a 10. So we're gonna hope that we can keep that train rolling along. Maybe we can grade a 10 with this one also, because I think he is really, really clean. I mean, no edge whitening on this whatsoever. Last I checked, no surface wear, so, or very, very little at least. You know, it's sometimes so hard to tell. You know, you need like a bright light, you need to shine on it. You need the time to do that too. You know, everybody says it's so easy to grade cards yourself and things like that, but it does take a decent amount of your time to go through 25 some odd cards and make sure they're all getting the appropriate grade, pre-grade that you want them to get. I remember back in the day, all I'd do is really just check the backside of the card. I'd look at it, say, all right, no whitening, corners look good, that should get sent off, and I was guaranteed either an 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in that realm of possibilities. Nowadays, or it was more like 9 or 10. But now PSA, definitely a little bit harsher these days, and you have to be careful about that surface wear. It could ding you down to an 8, even a 7, so you could have a back that's perfect, but if the front's not super clean, it's still not going to get the grade that you'd like. That's why sometimes it pays to think about, am I going to grade with BGS or am I going to grade with PSA? Because if everything else about the card is great, but the surface is just like a little bit scratched up, then maybe go with BGS, because the surface might get downgraded, but everything else will help to bring that grade up and it'll stay a BGS 9. So that sometimes can work to your advantage. All right, so we've got a few cards from some buddies of mine. We've got ourselves a Dark Slowbro, not first edition, but look again, we're just killing it with the swirly dirlies over there, over the shoulder of the Slowbro. So we're gonna be sending this bad boy in. We got ourselves a Psyduck from the Scream promo set. Psyduck, an awesome card right there. We've got a Gym Challenge Giovanni's Nidoking, and they're not first edition, but I mean, these cards in high grade are still going to be worth a decent amount, so they're always worth grading if you think you've got a clean copy for yourself. Porygon 2, very, very clean copy as well. We have a Yanma. This is first edition Yanma, and it's got a swirl there. Tough card to grade in a PSA 9 or 10. Not exactly the highest of populations. Love that swirled, man. But this card is definitely one worth sending in. Hopefully it grades high for you. Going to keep our fingers crossed. Koga's Beedrill. Love that card. That's super cool too. And we've got a friend of mine, and we're going to end this submission with a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not really my thing, but my buddy wanted to send these in, and so that's what we're going to do for him. We've got the Red Eyes Black Dragon. We have Jinzo. And I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, it kind of goes to show just how much knowledge you pick up when you're, collecting in the hobby. I know so much information about Pokemon, and then I swap over to something like Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, everybody knows Dark Magician. Give me a break. But you swap over to something like Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just goes to show how little you know when you go outside your comfort zone. Because aside from seeing a first edition symbol on some of these, I really would have absolutely no clue as to why some are worth more than others. Lord of D. Yes, you are the Lord of the D. Very nice. Yeah, that bad boy, and one more for good measure. So that's our submission for today, guys. Wish us the best of luck. We'll be back. And remember, like and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content. We do vintage Pokemon content action here all the time. Joe R. Vintage Pokemon is what we do. And may the PSA gods be ever in our favor. See you later, guys. Joe R. out.